From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Louie B.
This is Ticats Today for a Thursday, September the 30th, 2021. Last day of September. Also, the first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, honoring the lost children and survivors of residential schools, their families, and communities. And maybe you're wearing orange. Maybe you're taking the time to check out the calls to action that have been made with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. But obviously a humbling day for sure, and a day to remember the tragic and painful history and the ongoing impacts of residential schools. We will be joined by Ticats quarterback, of course not on the roster now, on the injured list, but Dane Evans, who's got a great story and throughout the season has been acknowledging where the teams are playing, and really a great chat with Dan. Caught up with him earlier this week, so we'll play that for you coming up here on Ticats Today. News coming out of practice, news coming out of kind of post-practice. The Ticats are going to be releasing DeVier Posey, and we'll hear from Coach in just a moment on that, but some big news coming down on that one. So we'll get to Coach in just a little bit. We're also going to hear from Nikola Kalinic. He was rocking the orange under his practice jersey today, so we caught up with him. But let's start with the head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Orlondo Steinauer, and touching on the release of DeVier Posey.
So, Steve, I'll shoot you straight here. So we actually today are going to release DeVier Posey. It's definitely tough. It's really a credit to some of the younger guys that have stepped up. It's tough because we had DeVier had an injury early, and where he was probably penciled in as an early starter for us. He came in and he was a pro. I thought he was active the whole time and trying to help the receivers get better. He was even helping Jared Baines, our receiver coach, help prepare and do reports. I don't really have I have nothing but good things to say about DeVier, except for there is tough decisions to be made, and I don't relish these ones at all. Yeah, so Jeremiah, as you were there, he took I'd say he probably took 90% of the throws today, and that was on purpose. And barring anything that doesn't come up, we would expect Jeremiah to have a high likelihood of starting for us. At a minimum, he'll suit up. But again, his injury is about, pain tolerance and whatnot. But we liked what we saw there. At receiver, we felt like we were stacked there pretty well, and some players have really stepped up. And, to see Braylon back out there and Speedy back out there, it's a little bit different to see 86 and 16 out there. But we'll see how they feel after today. We were on the field a little bit lighter practice as normal on day 3, but we'll see. We're confident that they're going to be able to go, but ultimately we'll decide that after we get the injury report. Well, I think obviously it's an important initiative, obviously, under, terrible circumstances, but we definitely went out of our way to have our community relations. A lot of you may know Courtney Stephen. He came on and spoke to our football team for probably about 5 minutes. We definitely decided to take some time and not just say this, one of these things is happening, but Courtney, I thought, did a great job of explaining kind of the why and how we were going to support it as a football team and as an organization by representing some of the shirts and some of the things that we're going to be wearing. So we're, Hamilton Tiger Cats and everybody, we're all on board. And again, I feel like Courtney did a great job of addressing the football team.
That is the head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Orlondo Steinauer, as he spoke after practice. So obviously a couple things of note coming out of that one. off the top there, DeVier Posey, we mentioned this, DeVier Posey will be released by the Ticats, and not anything he did, but just the stellar play of guys like Pappy White and Stephen Dunbar Jr. and Tim White. And obviously a tough decision for Coach O to have to make, but that's what he does. He has to make those tough decisions, and we wish DeVier Posey all the best in whatever is next for him. You also heard there from Coach that it sounds like there's a high likelihood that Jeremiah Masoli will start on Saturday. So for the first time since week 2, Masoli looks like he'll be under center, and looks like he might have Braylon Addison and Brandon Banks with him as well. And we'll get the full depth chart from the team tomorrow, and we'll run that down right here on Ticats today. All right. It is the first National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. And we noticed today out on the field, Nikola Kalinic was rocking an orange sweater under his practice jersey, and had a chance to catch up with him after practice today.
Yeah, it was just today marks the first day that we're honoring the lost lives and the survivors of the residential schools in Canada. So I thought it was kind of acceptable to be wearing an orange sweater, I guess, under practice. So it was just kind of learning this whole week, like leading up to this week, and like even over the past like pandemic and everything. Just learning about all the incidents and things popping up and things that we don't even probably know about. It's tough and just a sign to show that I support that. Yeah, I think that's a great recognition. I think that's awesome to show that we are understanding, but again, we have to take account to what happened. We have to acknowledge that, and we have to be there and help support groups that need the supporting and need the help, the extra hand, the lending hand. Honestly, just be there in times and hear stories and learn stories and then learn from it, right? Like, it's awesome to learn everything and to hear everything, but if we don't learn from it, we won't grow as people. So yeah, getting these guys back in full shape and full stride is very exciting. I'm just gonna be there doing what I do as usual, and excited to see them doing their thing as usual as well. So I'm excited for everyone to be back, the whole band back together, and yeah.
That is tight end and fullback of the Hamilton Ticats, Nikola Kalinic, as we caught up with him after practice, and at practice today, rocking the orange underneath his jersey, obviously acknowledging the first National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. And on that topic, had a chance to catch up with Dane Evans a little bit earlier this week. He was on the Waggle as well. He's so well-spoken. He's a great guy on the field, a great guy off the field as well. But had a chance to catch up with him and talk to him, because every game this season on his Instagram account, he's been kind of making these land acknowledgements of the Aboriginal and Indigenous people who had initial claim to the land. And I caught up with him, and I wanted to know why he started to do this. And it's a really great conversation. I encourage you to listen to the whole thing, listen intently as well. And here it is, my conversation with Dane Evans. And we started off by talking about just how he kind of got into it, how he decided to kind of make these land acknowledgements on game days.
We play in places like Winnipeg, Saskatchewan. You go to BC and you see the totem poles all over. Even Ottawa, I mean, there's just so many, native statues around. And so in 2019, when we'd go, I would look up this information on my own, and I would just I thought it was cool for me. Then COVID happened. And then this year, I really didn't think about doing it, or I thought about it, but I didn't really decide to do it until we were in the hotel in Winnipeg. And to me, it was just, with everything that's going on right now, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do it because I think it's cool. I was like, I don't know if any of my followers or anybody even cares. They might just click through it, but whatever. I'm going to do it because it's a way that I can raise at least some set of eyes, raise a little bit of awareness on what's going on. And I wouldn't even be able to describe how positive the feedback has been from people reacting to the story and just sending me, paragraphs of, my grandfather has been, a proud member of this tribe, and, he's never seen an athlete do this, and that. I never thought that would ever happen. And the other cool part is guys on the team here, they come up to me and they tell me, they're like, what you're doing on game day. They're like, keep doing that. And I thought they were talking about playing. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're telling me about my stories. And it's just all different types of guys. I mean, probably over 30 guys have come up to me and said that. So I'm glad I decided to do it. So it's been a positive thing.
Well, because I mean, you kind of mentioned it. It's pretty interesting that almost every city you go to in Canada, it's usually named after some Indigenous tribe.
Yeah.
And for you personally, I know that this kind of is something that is personal to you because of your own Indigenous background.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why it's so personal to me. I mean, growing up in Oklahoma, I've always known that I'm, Native American, Indigenous, but I always find it interesting in locker rooms that I've been in throughout my life that I don't ever tell people that, because I mean, just let's call it like it is. I look like a bald white guy, right? So I never let people know that about me first, not because I'm afraid, but I just want to see kind of once they know me and know who I am and stuff, then I kind of let people know, where my background is and who I am and my tribe, what that means to me. And, it's just something that I've always grown up trying to be proud of. Obviously every kid wants to make their parents proud or make their friend proud or whatever. But to me, I've always wanted to make my tribe proud. And I was alluding to this in another interview, like obviously the name on the front of your jersey, right? That's who we all play for. But when you get to the pro level, it's on the name on the back of your jersey. That's people remember, oh, that Evans kid, or, oh, this kid, and to me, that is like my direct tie-in to the tribe, because everybody back home in Oklahoma, yeah, they know my name, they know my dad's name, they know my grandpa, everything like that. But I'm always just, and I love it, I'll always just be that Evans boy, so I want to keep making them proud. I want to keep honoring my last name and honoring my tribe and just keep trying to do what I can do.
And to that point, I mean, you mentioned that this has been instilled in you from your grandfather, from your father. What kind of role have they played in your growing up and to honor your culture like you have with the name on the back, like you say? I mean, what has it meant to have the support of not just your family, but your teammates as well?
It's been huge, honestly. And I think in college, I played at Tulsa, and Tulsa was the capital of the Osage Nation, right? It went up to Pawhuska, Oklahoma, but basically Tulsa was like, once they found oil there, that's why Tulsa is such a big city. They came in and took it from the Osage Indians. But so just like, it's funny how life works, right? Because that was my only college scholarship. And if anyone has ever been to Tulsa, you go for 5 seconds and you just look around, there's Native American stuff everywhere. And I love it. That's why I love it there. But that's because the town has recognized, where this town came from and all that stuff. So that's what we're trying to do, up here. And just my dad, my grandpa, my grandma, all of them, always told me just, like it's not just your family you're representing, it's the whole tribe as a family. And that's something that, like you said, was instilled in me very early, and I'm just trying to make them proud.
There seems to be an ongoing continuing education, not just for yourself, but like you said, with your posts, being able to educate others. And especially in times like now, especially with Truth and Reconciliation Day ahead, Orange Shirt Day ahead here in Canada, how important is it for you to continue this messaging beyond your playing career and continue to learn and teach others in this point?
Yeah, that's the whole reason I did the post. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I'm not trying to be a political icon. I just want people to acknowledge, like, there's no other way to put it other than, like, you're kind of crazy if you think you just showed up and this city was here, right? Like, someone before you built this city, someone before them built that city. And it's just like, where did this all come from? Who deserves the credit for what? And the fact, I love everywhere we've been to in the CFL, they always acknowledge right before the national anthem, they always acknowledge what First Nations land we're on. And I think it was 2018, it might've been 19, but when we played at Winnipeg, they actually sang the national anthem, I believe in Cree. And that was one of the coolest national anthems I've ever been a part of. So long story short, I'm just trying to get people to recognize, like, with everything that's been happening with the residential schools, with all that, like, it wasn't that long ago. My great grandmother was taken off of her land by the US government. They cut her hair, they taught her English. They didn't want her to speak our native language anymore. And so like, I know everyone reads it and you see it in your history book and you're like, wow, that was kind of bad that happened, right? That happened 2 generations ago. Like my great grandmother, she passed in 2016. That's how recent it was, So I think with this whole day and everything that's been going on, yes, it's a horrible thing. It should never, ever happen again. But if we don't learn from it and if we don't acknowledge it and bring light onto it, it very well could happen again. So that's why I think this day is so big in the Canadian, sphere of everything. Like we need to acknowledge it. We need to see what went on as much as we don't want to, so that it never, ever happens again, not just to Indigenous people, but to any race of people ever.
That's such a great point, because there are so many people who wrongfully say, well, it was so long ago, it wasn't us, that's not who we are. No. That's not true, because we know that residential schools, at least here in Canada, were going up until the mid-90s, right? So what advice would you say for somebody who, it doesn't affect me anymore? What would you tell them?
And I totally get that, right? Like it makes perfect logical sense. But the truth is, that's it, like you said, it happened to my great-grandma. And it's just something that it's okay to be afraid of it, whether you open your phone up and you want to read a news article on it, or you want to actually go somewhere in person and learn about it. Please do. Don't let the fear of like being afraid of what happened in the past like scare you off of it. I would rather someone go somewhere being a little afraid about it, because that's when you're going to learn the most. That's when it's really going to strike a chord with you, and you're never ever going to want to treat someone that way or think that you're better than them because of this and that. You know what I mean? So I would just say, don't be afraid of it. It's not pretty, everything about it. It's a horrible situation. Just acknowledge that and let's learn from it. And that's what this whole day is about.
Dane, really great catching up with you on something that's obviously so important to you and should be so important to everybody else. So thanks for doing this, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Louie. I appreciate it.
That is Dane Evans of the Hamilton Ticats, and great to connect with him on something that is obviously so important to him and should be important to so many of us here today on the first National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. I would encourage you to do your homework. We had a great speaker come in yesterday and talk to us here at the business staff of the Ticats, and Courtney, Stephen has been doing a great job kind of educating the team on what's going on, and there's going to be a lot of kind of stuff going on for that on Saturday's game here at Tim Hortons Field. Make sure to join us Saturday on the Ticats Audio Network if you're not coming down, and maybe if you are coming down in person too. We'll be on the air at 3 o'clock. Andy Fan Tuesday night will bring you Tiger Cats pregame presented by Active Green and Ross, and then RJ Broadhead and Mike Moriali will have the call beginning at 4 o'clock. You can join Andy and I for Tiger Cats at the half, and that one, even if you are coming down to the game, you'll get to see Andy and I on the jumbo screen during halftime, and then make sure to join us for Tiger Cats postgame as well. So lots going on here on the Ticats Audio Network, including a brand new episode of Task and Twos that dropped today. Luke Tasker still in Alaska for his sister's wedding, but he's making his way back soon. But they caught up for a brand new episode of Task and 2, so go check that out wherever you get this podcast. It's right here on the Ticats Audio Network. All right, thanks for checking us out today. We're back tomorrow for Ticats Today. As always, for the Ticats Audio Network, I'm Louie B. Hoping you have a great day.